Have you ever had that feeling, that universal frustration? You know something is in your head, especially a number, but you can't quite grab it.
Oh, definitely. Dates, phone numbers.
Exactly. Or even like a line from a song. It feels like wrestling with fog sometimes. Now imagine trying that with something really big. For a lot of people, remembering specific Bible chapters and verses, well, that's the same kind of hurdle. It's just magnified.
Yeah, the scale is pretty immense when you think about it.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're talking, what, 11,189 chapters?
Yeah.
And over 31,000 verses?
That's right.
Just trying to hold on to even a small fraction of that, it can feel overwhelming. Almost impossible, you know?
It certainly can seem that way.
But what if there was a surprising way, maybe even a joyful way to tackle that?
Now that's interesting.
Today we're doing a deep dive into something called the Joy Bible Number System -1. It offers a really fascinating approach to this exact problem.
Yeah, and what I find compelling about it is the core idea. Numbers themselves, they're abstract, right? They're hard for most people to just remember.
Right. They don't really stick.
Exactly. They're just symbols. But images, our brains are, well, they're wired for visuals. Images are memorable, they're vivid, easy to recall.
Makes sense.
And this system, it claims it can help you remember keywords for hundreds of chapters, thousands of verses, by using that visual power. And they specifically say, in a joyful way.
So that's our mission today then, to kind of unpack how this system actually works. How does it use images to turn this, let's face it, daunting task of remembering Bible references into something accessible? Maybe even enjoyable.
Let's get into it. Where does it start?
Okay, so the system kicks off with what it calls basic numbers, just the numbers 1 through 9.
Right.
And each one gets linked to a specific object. And the clever part, I think, is how they're chosen. The object's shape actually looks like the number.
That's the key visual hook.
And these objects, they're mainly for remembering the verses.
Exactly. So for number 1, it's chalk. You know, like a stick of chalk. Straight line.
Okay, I see that.
Number 2 is a duck. The shape of a duck swimming, it really looks like a 2.
Yeah, did that.
3 is a rabbit. Think of its ears, making that 3 up shape.
Clever.
4 is a notebook. The square top part suggests a 4. 5 is a crocodile, but it's linked through like a fishing hook shape. That hook looks like a 5.
Ah, the hook. Got it.
6 is a cherry. Round fruit, little stem, looks just like a 6-foot. 7, a candle. The flame points up like the top of a 7.
Okay.
8 is a snowman, 2 circles stacked right in 8.
Obvious one.
And 9 is a balloon. The round balloon and the string hanging down, that forms a 9.
You know, picturing those, like the duck for 2, the snowman for 8,
Yeah.
they are pretty immediate.
Yeah.
You sort of instantly see the connection.
That's the idea. It tacks into that natural visual association we all have. It's not about rote learning complex things. It's seeing a simple link.
So it uses how our brains already work.
Precisely. Cognitive scientists talk about dual coding, storing info visually and verbally. Number symbol plus vivid image, much stronger memory trace.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got these objects for the verses, the basic numbers, but then there's another layer, right? For the chapters.
Yes, the alt numbers.
Alt numbers.
Yeah.
There's a twist there. How do they connect back?
Well, this is where it gets layered and I think quite smart. The alt numbers are also 1 through 9, but instead of objects, they represent places.
Places. Okay.
And here's the connection. Each place is conceptually linked to the object from the basic numbers.
Oh, okay. So they build on each other.
Exactly. So alt 1, which connects back to chalk, the place is an oak tree. Maybe imagine chalk dust near the tree or something.
Right. Well,
Alt 2, linked to the duck, is a pond, naturally.
makes sense.
Alt 3 for the rabbit is a mountain. Rabbits live near mountains sometimes, or you imagine rabbit ears on the peak.
Okay.
Alt 4, building on the notebook, the place is a school.
Obvious link there.
Alt 5 from the crocodile, or rather the fishing hook, the place is a pier. You fish from a pier.
Right.
Alt 6 for the cherry is a market. You buy cherries at the market. Alt 7 from the candle becomes a street light. Both give light.
I see the connection.
Alt 8 for the snowman is a stadium. Maybe imagine a giant snowman built in a stadium.
Okay.
And Alt 9 from the balloon is a hot air balloon. A bigger version, a place you can be in.
Wow. So you've got these two sets of images working together, objects for verses, places for chapters. It's like setting a mental stage.
That's a good way to put it. A mental stage for the information.
Let's make this really concrete. Can we walk through an example from the system? Like, say you wanted to remember 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7. How does it handle that?
Okay, good example. 1 Peter 5.7.
Yeah.
First, you look at the chapter number. It's 5.
Right.
So you use the alt number 5. Which place was that?
The pier, linked to the fishing hook.
Exactly. The pier. Now, the verse number is 7.
Okay, verse 7, basic number 7. That was the candle.
Right again. Pier for chapter 5. Candle for verse 7. Now, the system gives you a specific combined image for this specific verse.
So it's not just pier and candle floating around.
No. It's as integrated with the verse's meaning. The verse is casting all your anxiety on him.
Yeah?
So the image they suggest shows the pier, and on the pier there's the candle, but also there's a bag, maybe labeled angst for anxiety.
Oh.
And the image depicts casting this bag towards a representation of him, maybe just the letter H or something similar.
Wow. So the image literally shows pier, candle, casting anxiety onto him. It packs the whole reference and the core message into one picture.
Precisely. One single, vivid, mental snapshot.
That's quite powerful. And interestingly, the system doesn't just stop at the visual, does it? It recommends a specific way to practice.
Right, that's important too. It's not just about seeing the image in your head once.
What do they suggest?
They say aloud with prayer the reference and the keywords 2 or 3 times. Use your mouth and your spirit.
So it's multisensory. Seeing, speaking.
Exactly. It brings in the auditory, even a kind of kinesthetic element by speaking. Plus the spiritual component they mention.
And repetition must be key.
Absolutely crucial. The system stresses regular repetition, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever works for you. They use this phrase, enjoying visitation of each verse regularly.
Enjoying visitation.
Yeah.
I like that. It sounds less like homework.
Right. It reframes it. It's about keeping those mental pathways active, making it a positive, ongoing interaction, not just rote memorization that you dread.
So the initial work is setting up the images, but then it's about revisiting them joyfully.
That seems to be the core philosophy. Deep engagement.
You know, this whole approach really taps into that desire I think many of us have to learn things quickly, but also thoroughly. In a world with so much information flying at us, having a structured way like this, using mnemonics, it feels like a way to combat that overload.
It definitely does. It provides a framework.
It reminds me, actually, of trying to learn history dates. They were just numbers until I started linking them to weird personal things. This feels like a much more systematic version of that.
It absolutely is. And that potential for the aha moment, when you suddenly see the connection between an abstract number and a concrete image, that can be really powerful.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, the goal isn't just recall. It's framed as a joyful way to interact with the information. That makes the learning itself potentially rewarding.
Which leads to a bigger question, really.
What's that?
If this works for something as dense as the Bible, what else could it work for?
That's exactly the implication, isn't it? Think about learning a new language, complex science concepts, historical timelines, legal codes, any area with lots of specific information.
The principles seem very adaptable.
Very. Using visual associative memory techniques, it's a fundamental aspect of how our brains learn effectively.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, we've seen how this Joy Bible number system really aims to transform abstract numbers, chapter and verse references, into these memorable linked images.
Right. Making a potentially huge memorization task feel more manageable, even engaging, through visualization and association.
It's a pretty powerful reminder of how our brains are wired to learn.
It really is. And it leaves us with a thought, maybe for you listening.
Yeah.
Given how effective these kinds of visual and associative techniques can be for something like Bible verses, something quite detailed, how might you apply these same principles?
To other areas.
Exactly. To other complex subjects you're studying or personal learning goals you might have. How could you turn the information you need to remember into your own vivid, lasting mental landscapes?
Something to think about. Turning data into scenery.
Worth exploring, definitely.